Warm up, warm up, and focus check, and sound check. All right, welcome back. For those of you that are joining me for episode 2 here on Indie Film Experience, following my latest short film, Sweet Child. If you missed it last week and this is your first time, welcome. You can check out the first episode about pre-production over here. So let's dive in to day 1 of production. So day 1 was fairly smooth. Although this scene got cut from the film, I still look at it as a necessary first step to be working with Ben, who I believe at the time was 8 or 9 years old. I want to say this was his first, maybe second or third short film that he had been on or something. And it took us a while to learn how to communicate, and there was like some adorable negotiations that went on of he wouldn't do a take unless we used his fart gun from Despicable Me. There's a fart gun over there. We'll do it on the next take. Okay. Next take? I promise you. It's over there. I forgot it. I will grab it. As soon as I say cut, I'll run over and grab it. Okay? Is that a deal? Thank you, babe. Okay. Okay?
It doesn't always make the same noise.
I know. But that's okay. Every fart's unique in its own way, isn't it?
It's a snowflake.
Yeah. It's like a snowflake. At first, Ben's actions were very intense for theater, and it was hard to kind of like choke that back to more of like a subtle film sort of emotions and reactions. A lot of people are applauding his performance, as they should, because he did a fantastic job. But it was my first time working with a child actor, and it was a lot of fun. Would love to work with Ben again. Ben, I hope you're doing all right. And it was also my first time working with Dakota in like a director-actor relationship.
Like my neck beard? Separate.
And both Ben and Dakota, for the most part, ended up being like 1-2 take dudes, basically. I noticed in post-production that Dakota's strongest takes were like the first or second, and Ben would always just, he's like a one and done type of guy, which is fascinating. And then since Dakota comes from like a comedy realm, we would, often do multiple takes to get different options for like mannerisms and different tonal shifts and influctuations in words.
No swear words.
I love that scene, and it was sad to see it go. But as far as like establishing a relationship and communication with Ben and Dakota, that location was absolutely essential. During lunch, I'm looking around the house at the second location, and I realized that the stuff that I wrote didn't really match what was going on inside this house at all. And instead of forcing what I had written to happen, I turned to my amazing cast and crew that were there for the same reason that I was, to tell this story. After lunch, I gathered Dakota and Dana Cruz, and we went out back in the backyard. I, basically told them, like, I want to hold on to the emotional beats and, like, hold on to, like, what's supposed to happen in the scene, but the details need to shift, and they were into the idea. I later found out that Dakota was a little intimidated, which I totally understand. Although Dakota didn't have a whole lot of fun, it was one of my favorite parts of this entire 2-day shoot, was brainstorming and like, just kind of refining to make it our own together. That was magical. Because of the daylight restrictions, we had to kind of like do this weird sandwich in time kind of thing where we shot interiors, went outside before the sunset, and then came back inside to finish up some coverage. So we had to get pretty creative pretty quick to figure out how to do it in the most interesting way possible. By the time we got to some different angles the sun had set, and Dom and Anthony did a really good job of recreating the daylight that was happening inside the house, and you can't tell. So good job, guys. After we wrapped, the crew and cast kind of split up. So like most of the crew stayed in the Airbnb with me, and we all stayed up too late. In the short of it, just talking. So it was trouble because we had an extremely early rise, unfortunately, on day 2. Another one bites the dust, dude. What's up, homie?
Skipping Small Stuff got into the Orlando Film Festival.
Did it really? Yeah. And that was painful. And that's the one thing that, like, if I could have it back, I would do it differently because it hurt. It hurt me, and it hurt me to see. It hurt me personally, but also hurt me to see the crew struggling with exhaustion by the end of day 2. Wouldn't do that again. We got up, but it took us forever to really get the gears of production back up and going. Ultimately ended up finishing and making the day, but if it wasn't for my wife Alyssa kind of stepping up into a type of AD role, keeping us going, we probably wouldn't have made the day. So thank you, Alyssa. I love you. She can't hear me, I don't think. And we had to shoot the ending of the movie first, which was tough, and it involved a police car with flashing lights and things like that. And once we got the first shot up, we had one unexpected interruption where the actual police showed up and stopped us. Of course, my stomach dropped, and I'm like, God dang it. What are they gonna say? Are we gonna get fined? Like, luckily we had all the paperwork, we had location agreement, we had insurance. Like, I was like, what paper do you want to see, officer? You know, but like, they weren't about that. They just came up and they're like, what are you doing? And told them like, hey, we're from Chicago, we're making a film, we have permission to be here, Susan's inside, you know, like. But apparently someone called in to complain, and they were concerned about what was going outside of Megaplay at 4 a.m. on a Sunday. And that's why they showed up. So, whatever. But like, they were basically like, yeah, you know, like, you could get in pretty serious trouble with impersonating an officer. And we're like, thank you, we should have called you guys to let you know, like, we're here, this is what's going on. They're like, yes, next time, please. Just for now, shut the lights off. Thank God they let us continue filming, and we were able to roll on. We got what we needed, and we just got inside because Megaplay is a business, and it was opening up at noon. So we had like 6 hours to film everything, which we barely did. And another thing that was like really, really funny, and it kept the energy up the whole time, was, again, Ben. He was the little engine that could. Like, he didn't care how long he was up. He was an 8-year-old boy in an arcade by himself. So he was wired. And it was hilarious. Because he's like, when do I get to play games? Because there's a gaming montage in the movie. So he knew it was coming. And I kept telling him, like, it's in a bit. You know, it's after lunch. You know, I ran out of excuses. But it was kind of like one of those things where, like, I was saving the montage for last. Because if the arcade had opened up by that point, that's fine. Like, people will be out of focus in the background. It doesn't matter. My second favorite part of the whole filming of this thing was the gaming montage. Because I built up enough courage to operate the camera. Which, I'm a cinematographer myself. It's no issue, right? Like, I'm confident in that. But, like, I'm kind of scarred from doing cinematography and directing my senior thesis back in college. I was like, let's give it a shot. And I mean, it's a montage, so if it doesn't work and I can't work with the actors the way that I want to behind the camera, I can just hand it back to Dom. No, you know, no harm, no foul. But it ended up being one of my favorite parts of the whole filming of the movie. And I proved to myself that, like, I don't need to be afraid to operate on a movie of mine, like, ever again. Like, if there's a scene, it's like, you know, I want to operate, like, I can do it, and I don't have to worry about it. I love the way the montage feels because it's like recorded actual fun and happiness, and like Ben's going nuts, you know, and it's so fun. He's just like he's having fun with Dakota. Like they're both in character. Ben questionably, Dakota, you know, eventually like was riffing lines and whatever, but also clearly having a lot of fun and just goofing off, you know, and that to me was the most cinematic part of the whole thing, just like filming a real human experience. Like I grew up playing video games with my dad. It's just, you know, it's something to do, and when you're in the middle of nowhere like Indiana or Illinois, it's like one of the things you can do to have fun, pass the time, not spend any money, you know, like it's a one-time cost. You just play the game forever as long as it works, and like I don't know, there's something about that sort of like book open and book end, where like you're introduced to Ben's character, he's playing a game, and then like he also like has the time of his life playing games with his dad. Like there's just something that kind of, it was a balance in the script that ended up being stronger than I had anticipated. So that's it for production. Everybody that I've screenshotted here in this video and made highlights of and thanked, like I want to say it again, thank you for your time and your effort. It won't go unnoticed because we have an amazing film together, and it wouldn't be as strong as it is without you. And I want you to know, heart to heart, I really can't thank you enough. I love you. Thank you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, you started.
Happy birthday
Day to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Zach. Happy birthday to you. Okay, blow them out.
It's missing some candles.
It's okay.
We don't have that many.
You want to bring?